What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel, and it's good to see you again. We're gonna do aquariums today, so checking out the planted tank here. We got a couple of the albino bristlenose hanging out on this side. I did throw some food into this corner yesterday that they ate up, and we'll throw some food to the betta while we're at it. Again, you have to lead him to it, or else he won't eat it. But once you tell him there's food in there, he gets the idea. Moving on, heading downstairs. The engineer gobies clearly are now understanding that I am the bringer of food, and will come out on command if I come by the tank, just in case there's food around. So I gave them a little teaser of food since they all came out, just to encourage the association of, you know, me with good things, just like you'd train a dog or a dog or a cat. You know, when you do good, you get your treat. So they all came out to swim, so I gave them a treat. The algae in here, I'm probably gonna have to turn the lights back again. I think those are dinos. Those darker red patches on this rock over here, and a couple on that rock there. And this side's pretty much clear. I don't know if the lights are uneven or something, why this one's getting it so much and this side isn't. I guess this one rock in front here is getting it a little bit. But so yeah, I'm probably gonna end up turning the lights back down even further, because as of right now, I think the lights are, growing nutrients and stuff like that, and there's nothing in here to use those nutrients except for the algae. So got some hermit crabs having a little fight down here. And of course they went onto the rock where I can't watch them. So tube tank. I took Jay's advice. Jay commented on my last aquarium video that I should probably move these power heads up. So I did that, and we'll see what effect that has on the NEM here, who's moving around again. So I think he's in the process of deflating, and so we'll see what spot he picks today. Cory frag, bumblebee snail came back to it. There were definitely some of those whatchamacallem worms, the little tube worms, and I guess that's what the bumblebee snails eat. So I'm just assuming that's what he's doing to this Cory frag, is he's eating the little tubes off of it. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a hermit crab in that nearite snail shell. Yeah, that's because he murdered the nearite snail and took his shell. So a little upset about that. I was pretty happy with the activities of that nearite snail, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was sick or something, because he was laying down there in that spot for at least a little while before the snail came along, before the hermit crab came along and ripped him out of his shell. So he may have been sick again. I don't know. I think I'm pretty bad with snails. Like, I got this one here, one of the turbo snails, and of course now I'm worried that I don't have enough food growing in here for a turbo snail. So having two big ones like this, I'm probably starving them to death now that all the algae's gone out of here. So you get the super big one there, and then the other big one here, and he's been here all day. But we'll check back in on them later. Alright guys, you're not going to believe this. So I was checking some stuff out, and let me try and get a good angle of this. And I don't know how this camera's picking it up, so I'm going to try filming this again with the other camera. But that is the clown goby hosting a bubble tip anemone I can't hardly believe that. All right, let me pick this up with the other camera. All right, so yeah, it looks like it shows up much better on this camera. There's the clown goby hosting a bubble tip anemone. Of course, the bubble tip is all shrunken up like it does sometimes. So that video that you just saw was shot a couple days ago. We're going ahead, come in today. These guys have just been fed, but they really have the idea now. They're if I come by the tank, they come out to see me, which was the goal of the way I was feeding them. So now they've got the idea that I'm not a threat, that they can be comfortable to swim out in the tank. But they still go in their little rock homes at night, which is fine. I don't need to see them when the lights are out anyway. Algae is really starting to become a problem. It's got brown on the sand again. And, you know, I'm pretty sure they're dinos. Pretty much everything has smelled the food. The narcissus snails are both working the same little spot there. So I assume some food fell there. But I think there's definitely some dinos on that rock there. I took the Reef LED 50s. I brought them down to 25%. And they're also on, so they're less intense, and they're on that less intensity for a shorter period of time now. So I added like another 2 hours to the ramp up and ramp down. And like I said, I also cut the lights down to 25% total. So we'll see if that has an effect. But yeah, I've been doing my reading and my research and stuff like that, and it might just take a while for the tank to mature, and I might just have to live with it, you know, brown and stuff like that for a little while. This thing, so no way you can see it on my little GoPro camera here, but up here on the skimmer, I'm starting to get some of these brown spots that I can only assume are coming because of this light here. So today we're going to do something different with that light. But first we're going to check some other stuff out. So hold on. This is the location of the NEM today. Looks like Mr. Clown Goby's going to host it for the time being, which is pretty cool. I can't tell if it's looking any better. It was missing all day yesterday, so who knows. Cordia frag, I mean, it looks good, but I don't know. I went to the store I got this frag from, and all the frags that the store have that traditional Florida Recordia look, the darker purples and reds and stuff like that. So still not sure about that guy, but we're doing what we can. I don't know if the power heads being moved has made any difference, but it's only been a couple of days. I mean, the tank looks great, so I don't have any complaints about it. So we're just going to keep leaving them that way. All right, so I'm going to need to build a shroud for this Cheatomax light, and I've already gone out to the garage and I have some pieces of aluminum that I think I'm going to make it out of, and we got to take some measurements and stuff like that. Not sure yet if I'm going to keep the bracket, but I can definitely screw in from the top or something on here. But yeah, so I'm going to take some measurements, and the pieces of aluminum I have are weird shapes and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to basically work with what I have. So let's take some measurements and we'll go from there. Alright, so I have my measurements here, and I'm going to go get a piece of that aluminum. I'm going to get all of it and bring it inside because it's kind of chilly outside, so we're going to work inside and try and figure something out. These are the aluminum pieces I have to work with. I mean, it's scrap metal, so obviously they're not any real good pieces of it. This one's got bunch of welds into it, which I would have to cut out. That one's basically got something stamped into it and an edge on it already. And then this one's got cut out of it, but it's nice and long. It looks like it's pretty close to the shape that I'm trying to cover here, so not only that, but also seems to be a much thicker aluminum than the other two. So our dimensions that we're covering are 6 by 10, so see what this is across. 10 inches that way, 7 inches that way. So we can do 6 by 10 and have a tab if I can figure out how to cut this aluminum good. So let me break out. I wonder if this thing has any square edges on it. But anyway, let me grab the square from outside and start designing something. Alright, so here's my final design. So I'm going to use the piece as it is. It is in fact pretty much square all the way around. So to mount, I'm going to use that bracket that's already there, and I'm going to build a tab on this thing to go into that bracket. So that tab will be 3 inches long, so that when I bend it and put it up in there and make it flush with the top, it'll still be an inch above the back wall of the chamber here. You can see it right there. So it'll still be an inch above that. But again, this thing is 7 inches instead of the 6 inches that I have to cover. So I'm going to try and fold an inch of this over so it kind of, back over here again, so it kind of like comes across here and then down like that. So that the measurements are, since that bracket accepts a 1 1/8 inch wide strip, that leaves me with 2 7/16 on either side of that strip. And yeah, so it'll be bent up like that, so it'll slide up in kinda. And yeah, let's go ahead and transfer my measurements onto this piece and decide which side of this piece I'm going to use to do this. Why is there rust on here? I checked it with the magnet. It's not magnetic. Hold on, the time-lapse camera has a magnetic mount. See? No magnets. That thing is as magnetic as it comes, so. I mean, if it's like galvanized or something like that, is there a treatment to steel that makes it not magnetic anymore? I don't think so. So we'll transfer the time-lapse camera back where it was, and we'll go back to transferring our measurements onto this thing. This is definitely going to be the back of it, so just because whatever that rust is, I just want that to be the on top. So that is my design laid out on the sheet of aluminum. So I'm going to cut there and there. So that piece is going away. Same thing on this side. We're just going to leave that tab in the middle. That tab is going to insert into this bracket from the underside, and that bracket's getting moved over there. And then of course it extends 10 inches out over toward the filter sock area, and then this line right here represents the bend. So this is going to be folded down to add just a little more light blocking from the skimmer, and so it's going to do a lot of things. It's going to move my light a lot closer to the refugium, which I'm probably going to end up having to turn that down some more. What I wouldn't do for a sheet metal brake right about now. So I was going to maybe try and use the Covington to cut this, but it has this thing on it, so that's not going to work. Got to come up with something else. Well, my options were a reciprocating saw, jigsaw, or some shears. So we're gonna go with the shears, and wish me luck as I cut this thing. Alright, that was pretty difficult to cut, but it's cut out, and we're going to go ahead and try and come up with a way to make these folds that I need to do nice and even. It's easier said than done. Alright, well, I am going to use this pallet, which is the pallet the Reefer 250 came in, and the weight of my body to use this as a sheet metal brake. It's not working so good. May not be heavy enough. Yeah, I don't think I'm heavy enough for that. Okay, use this broken vise here, and it's not my prettiest work, but it'll work. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a wire brush and then paint it up so that it's not this raw ugly color. And just in case I miss whatever this paint is on here, it looks like deck paint and the rust and all that, so that we can be sure that it's clean and good to go in the aquarium. Well, that's the best I could get it. Now to wash this off and wash and dry this and then paint it. All right, I almost forgot to mention, I have to drill a couple of holes for the light to mount to, and here's where I've marked them to be for the holes to go through. I might eventually have to use some kind of spacer in there, but for the time being, that's how we're going to work. All right, got my holes drilled, and we'll go back inside and install this thing. Starting to get dark, so I had to get a flashlight out to show you this. This is the top of the bracket. That's it mounted in the mount that the Cheatomax came with. That's your look from the inside up towards the light, and we'll get another look at it once it gets dark. Okay, we're gonna get our first look at what this looks like together. So I'm still bleeding some light back there, and doesn't have much room for it to get from here to there, but it's doing it. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how much more I can block it than that, but we'll try that and see how it goes. See if we can't get a better look at. So you can see my bracket here. There we go, get it in frame. See my bracket here, mounted to the factory the bracket that the Cheatomax came with. And then the Cheatomax is screwed in right here. You've seen it in the other video. It obviously bends right back here till it meets the top of this this partition in the sump. But yeah, this being the sump, I haven't like cleaned this glass in here or anything, but I'm thinking I'm gonna have to. I have not seen a pod in here in a couple of days at least, and this thing was so loaded with pods, so I'm a little worried about that. I have seen the engineer gobies pick at the rocks and the walls of the tank, so they may have been eating them, but I don't think at this point that them eating them could be the cause of my not seeing them anymore. So we'll keep an eye on that, and maybe I'll clean this glass soon. Well, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.